So today I'm going to teach you the Island Strum or the Calypso Strum, one of the most popular ukulele rhythms in the whole of the ukulele world. Hang on a minute, you say, what? You hate strumming patterns. What is he doing? Well, we're not going to learn this in the ordinary way. We're going to learn it in a way which is really simple and easy and effective. So right off the bat, how come I'm teaching you this? Well, it's a really effective way to strum, which sounds absolutely beautiful. And you're not beginners anymore. I'm really against teaching beginners strum patterns because it makes them very uptight players because they're trying to decide whether they're on an up or a down and are they doing the right thing, and it just leads to tension in your playing. And something like the Island Strum especially needs to be a very relaxed, lilting way of playing. Also, we're going to look at learning it as a rhythm, not as a pattern. We're not going to be regimented about downs and ups, and that's really, really important. Now, this is probably going to get me some dislikes, and oh, I don't care. Who cares? You may have seen this presented loads and loads of times if you've watched other ukulele videos like this. A pattern of ups and downs on certain ands. These represent the beats of music. These are ups and downs, and this is another way of writing it. Now, I want you to forget about all of that. That is a surefire way to get you playing like this. Snatching it, which is really, it's not an effective way of learning. I'm going to teach you a simple rhythm. And that's all you need to be able to play the Island Strum. Doesn't matter whether you're on an up or a down. It's really effective. So trust me, here we go. Okay then guys, ukes down on your lap, out of the way. I want you to hold your hands up and I want you to clap this rhythm with me. I'll do it a few times and you clap back. Now, as you clap, this time I want you to say out loud, or in your head if you're with somebody else and you're embarrassed to do it, I want you to say the words walk, running, and 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 walk, running. If you find it useful, you can rewind the video 30 seconds and try that a few more times. Just keep it going round, walk, running, and walk, running. This is the rhythm behind the first part of the Calypso Strum. And learning it as a rhythm means that you can play it all sorts of ways really effectively. And if you accidentally go wrong during the strum, it's not going to matter. You're still going to be able to keep that rhythm and timing, which is really important. So what I'd like to do now is grab your uke. Remember, 45-degree angle, up nice and upright. Lower belt resting on your lower thigh strap if you like, or not if you don't like. What I want you to do, place your hands over the strings anywhere roughly in the first 5 frets, but don't press the strings. If you press, you'll get a horrible sounding chord. What I want to do is just feather touch those strings so that when we strum down, we have that sound, a chunk or a chunk or a chuck, lots of different ways of saying it, okay? Okay. Now, what I want you to do is copy back that rhythm that I just taught you. Walk, running, walk, running, walk, running, walk, running. Now, there's lots of different ways you could do this, and this is the important thing. We don't have to count ands and ones and twos. We don't have to worry about downs and ups. I find the most effective way to do this is down, down, up, but your mileage may vary. That's where I'd like you to practice it first. Down, down, up. Down, down, up. Walk, running. Walk, running. Walk, running. Notice as we say the word walk, it's slightly elongated. So that first strum is slightly longer, isn't it, than the next two? The next two are half as long. Walk, running. Walk, running. And walk, running. And walk, running, and walk, running, and down, down, up, and down, down, up, and down, down, up, and down, down, up. And again, rewind the video 30 seconds, have a little practice that, make sure you're really, really comfortable, and then we'll look at the second half of the pattern. Okay, I'll try a fancy spin again, see if I bash myself in the nose this time. Oh no, we're all right. We're going to put our ukes on our laps again. You don't have to do the spin if you don't want to. I want you to take your hands and I want you to repeat after me, and running, and running, and running. And notice that all three of these claps are exactly the same length. They're all quick claps as opposed to a slow clap. And running, and running, and running. And we're repeating the words and running, and running, and running, and running. Fantastic. Try that a few times. Get really, really comfortable. Make sure all three of those are exactly the same length. And running, and running, and running. Okay, then we're going to put it back on our ukulele. Same thing. Hands somewhere roughly in the first 5 frets, not pressing the string. This time I'm going to suggest that we start with an up strum and we're going to go and running, and running, and running, and running. Now, here's the important thing. Again, I could be going down, down, up. I could be going down, down, down. I could be going up, up, up. There's all sorts of ways you can do this, but the most comfortable way is an up strum, a down strum, and an up strum. So let's try that. Up, down, up. Okay? Up, down, up. 2, 3, 4. 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 I'm running. 2, 3, 4. And running. 2, 3, 4. I'm running. Let's try that slower, just in case anyone was struggling. 2, 3, 4, and running. 2, 3, 4, up, down, up. 2, 3, 4, up, down, up. 2, 3, 4, up, down, up. Now stick with me. You might think I've lost my mind and you're thinking, oh, we've broken this up. We're not having ones and ands to compare to. Just trust me, see if it works. Let's have a look at sticking it all together. Okay, uke down one last time. Get your hands ready. We're going to put the whole thing together. Let's remind ourselves of the first half of the Calypso or Island rhythm first of all. We had walk, running, and walk, running, and walk, running. This can also be thought of as long, short, long, long, short, long, long, short, long. Okay? Now the second half of the rhythm was just 3 short claps, wasn't it? Short, 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 which can also be thought of in the original way we did it as and running, short, 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 and running. Okay, now this will take a few times for me doing this for you to get the rhythm and play along with me. So take your time. I'm going to keep doing this for a little bit of time. And even if you've already got it, it's good to clap along to practice, right? Anyway. So I'll do it a few times and I'm going to keep repeating it round and round and round. Sometimes I'll say walks and running. Sometimes I'll say longs and shorts to help out. So here we go. We have walk, running and running. 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 Long, short, short, short. Long, short, short, short. Long, short, short, short. Just get into the rhythm, okay? See, I was losing it then because I was trying to talk and do things at the same time. Let's get back into the rhythm. Walk, running and running. Walk, running and running. That's it. That is our Calypso rhythm or our Island rhythm. And there's loads of different ways we could play that on the uke. We could do it all as down strums. We could do it all as up strums. We could do it as ups and downs. There's loads of different ways you can do this. So the pattern that most people teach is just the most simple and effective, and that's what we're going to look at. But I don't want you to overthink the downs and the ups. As long as you have walk, running and running, and you keep that going the whole time, you can't go wrong. Well, you can, but you're less likely to. Let's have a look. So we're going to use our chucking technique again with this left hand so you can really feel the rhythm of this. And we're going to put the whole thing together as a strum. Let's go really slowly and have a look at what's happening. First of all, we're going to do our walk running. And again, this is just a suggestion. I like to do down, down, up. Down, down, up. Walk running. Walk running. Walk running. Long, short, long. Long, short, long. Walk running. Walk running. Okay? And after that, this is the tricky part. We're going to do the and running, and running. That's quite literally my hand going in a very steady but quick up, down, up, down, up, down, up. I'm running, I'm running. Now we're going to put those two together. Don't worry if you don't get it straight away, because I'm going to give you some tips that will really help give you the rhythm. But let's just try it. Walk, running, I'm running. Walk, running, I'm running. Down, down, up, down, 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 up, down, up. Long, short, long, short, short, short. Long, short, long, short, short, short. Walk, running, I'm running. Let's slow that down even further. Walk, running, and running. Walk, running, and running. Walk, running, and running. Walk, running, and running. Down, down, up, down, 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 up, down, 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 up, down, 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 up, down, up, and rest. Now, here's a couple of tips to really help you with this. The first is, as I say, don't get hung up on counting ones and twos and threes and fours in terms of a beat. That's going to really throw you off if you try and think when's the rest and when's the offbeat and when's the onbeat. That's going to throw you out. Secondly, if you make a mistake and you accidentally go up instead of down, so the first bit, instead of going down, down, up, and I accidentally go up, down, don't sweat it, because this is the point. If you've got that rhythm of walk, running, it doesn't really matter as long as you keep that rhythm going. So don't let it throw you off, get frustrated and get tense. If you accidentally go the wrong way, as long as you're keeping that rhythm going, that's the most important thing of all. Now, the thing that trips most people up is if you do it the kind of the most simple and easiest way, which is down, down, up, down, up. Because we finished the first part of the strum with an up, there it is, and we start the next part of the strum with an up, it trips people up because we've done this bit and our hand's up here, but the next thing we need to do, we need to bring it down and do another up. That's okay, because there's a little gap there. Down, down, up, down, up. And notice during the gap, my hand comes down, but it doesn't touch the strings. Down, down, up, there it goes, up, down, up. Now, this is a little trick that I've taught many of my students, which has really helped with the timing of this, to get that second half of the pattern to meet up with the first half. And it's to do a little pretend windmill in between the two. I'll show you what I mean in slow motion. Down, down, up, down, up. Did you see what I did there? Walk, running, and running. After my walk running, I do a little circle with my hand. Now that's a really clever way of giving you the timing, because there's that little gap in there. And if you do a nice circle, the time it takes most people to do that circle will be perfect time for you to hit the next part of the strum. So try this. Down, down, up, down, up. Walk, running, and running. Walk, running, and running. Walk, running, and running. Let me slow that down. Walk, running, and running. Walk, running, and running. Down, down, up, down, 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 up, down, up. Okay. Now that windmill looks pretty cool, but if you want it to eventually feel like a normal strum, as you get more confident at it, just let that windmill become less and less pronounced. So at the start, it could be quite a pronounced circle. But as you do it, see if you can just reduce it down. So it just becomes like a ghost strum, if you like. So a nice gentle. It's hardly there. And then eventually it can disappear. But if you find it helps you in the early stages, that's a really nice little thing to put into that calypso or island pattern to help you get the rhythm of it. Down, down, up, up, down, up. Walk, running, I'm running. Walk, running, I'm running. And as you practice it, say those words in your head. It will keep you in time. Because YouTube videos are a bit time pressured, it's sometimes difficult to give you the amount of time it requires to practice these things before we go into actually using them. So before you have a try at the song that we're going to look at, White Sandy Beach, just really take your time to make sure you're very comfortable with that pattern. Walk, running, I'm running. Walk, running, I'm running. And changing between a couple of chords just to practice first. You can go as slow as you want, gradually build up the tempo, get really confident. It can really take a while to get used to this one because it's a more unusual rhythm with that little gap in the middle, just there, that can really throw people. So be patient with yourself, really take your time, and when it clicks, it'll click and you'll have it forever. I absolutely promise. So as this pattern has that really lovely relaxed island vibe, what we're going to do is we're going to look at a song called White Sandy Beach. This was originally written by Willie Dan, but Brother Is famously covered it on his album Facing Future. He did a lovely, beautiful, relaxed performance of it. I think Brother Is plays it in the key of F, but I've changed it to the key of C to make it easier for you using the chords that we've already learned. Now there is one awkward chord change coming up, and that's an F major chord, which you'll know already, to an F minor chord, which happens at the end of each of the verses. So F minor is an awkward chord. It's a bit of a stretch. We've got one finger on the first fret of the G string. Your second finger goes on the first fret of the E string, so 2 below, and then your little finger or your pinky reaches right over to that third fret of the A string. Notice I'm still trying to get this little finger towards the right hand side of the fret. If it just only stretches this far, we're going to get that noise, or even worse, buzzing. But as it goes a little bit further over, we get a nice clear note. Now here's a little tip for that change. The notes that make up an F chord are F, A and C. 3 notes, but we've got 4 strings on our ukulele. And a normal F chord like this, normal if you like, it's just one version of an F chord, uses 2 A's. There's an A here and there's one here. What we can do with that F chord is use our little finger down here on this C note here, the 3rd fret of the A string. Now instead of having 2 A's, we have 2 C's, a low one and a high one, an octave apart. Now that F there is as perfectly as valid an F as this one. Okay? Now what this enables us to do by playing this F with our little finger is when we come to the F minor, we just need to switch these 2 back here. Still a little bit tricky. Let's practice that a few times. This F with your little finger. And switch. Okay. Don't worry if it's not perfect first few times. It's even okay if it sounds a bit like this. Okay. Doesn't matter, you're just learning it at the moment. That's the important thing. So we're going to go from an F to this F minor here. Now, a couple of things. What we can do is we can play the whole of the measure with the F with our little finger held down here. Or at any point we can introduce that little finger. We could start the measure with a normal F if you like, and then add it down. And that's absolutely fine, that works as well. So if you prefer the sound of that, we start the measure like this, and then at any point, just add that little finger down, gets us ready for the F minor, and the chord that comes after that, you'll see in a moment, is C, and we'll just play it with our little finger, leaving it down. Okay. Let's have a look at the chords to the verse then. We're going to start with 4 measures or bars of C major, just this one here. That's 4 times round our strumming pattern. Walk, running, I'm running, walk, running, I'm running, walk, running, I'm running, walk, running, I'm running. Now, when I put the chords on the screen, rather than how I do normally and have the letter for the chord C and slash marks marking how many measures, I'm going to write the amount of measures as a number in brackets. So this first one will say C brackets 4. Telling you you're playing C for 4 measures. The reason is later on in the song, some of the chords are held down for an unusual amount of measures, like 5 or 7. And to try and count those slashes whilst you're playing can be really confusing. So I'm just going to use numbers instead on this one. So we're going to start with 4 measures of C. If a letter or chord doesn't have a number in the brackets after it, we just presume that's 1 measure. So after we've played 4 measures of C, we have 1 measure of F. Use that little finger if you want. 1 measure of F minor. 1 measure of C. And then a quick G7, 1 measure of G7. Let's try the start of the verse then. Come in after 1 walk, running and running. Walk, running and running. 1, 2, 3, 4, and an F. 1, an F minor, a C, and a G7. Fantastic, let's try that one more time. Walk, running, and running. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here comes our F. F minor, C, G7. Absolutely brilliant. Second half of the verse is almost identical, only we omit that G7 and we just play C for 2 measures. I'll put the chords on the screen and you can give it a try. If you're not sure what I mean, just have a listen and follow it along. Walk, running and running. C, 2, 3, 4, F, F minor, and C for 2, and 2. Fantastic, let's put it all together with the words so you can have a go. Just quickly, I almost forgot before we do that verse. Let's do a little introduction which will allow us to come into the song with that flow going perfectly. The introduction is the first half of the verse. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the first half of the verse as an introduction, then we're going to do the whole verse, the first half again as a verse, and the second half without the G7. Chords will be on the screen, you'll soon get the idea. Take it nice and slow, keep counting as we go along. Coming after walk, running and running. Walk, running and running. C, 2, 3, 4, F, F minor, C, and G7. I saw you in my dream. We were walking hand in hand on a white sandy beach of Hawaii. Second half of the verse. We were playing in the sun. We were having so much fun on a white sandy beach of Hawaii. there we go. So the chords of the chorus are dead simple. We've just got G7, F, and G7. Notice something cool about those chords. I love F to G7 because after we've played a G7, we can just pivot on that index finger to the F, and we can pivot on it back to the G7. So that index finger can stay where it is the whole time. This is a 4/5 progression, we call it, in the key of C. That just means in the key of C, it goes C, D, E, F, G, A, B. That's the key of C. And the fourth chord is F, C, D, E, F. And the fifth chord is G, C, D, E, F, G. And we're playing that G as a G7 to add a little bit more tension. So F to G7, 4 to 5, a really common progression in modern music. So let's have a try. Now what we're going to do is we're going to play the first G chord for 2 measures. Then we're going to play an F for a measure. Then we're going to play G7 again, but the G7 lasts for 6 measures, so you'll see I've put 6 in brackets next to it. So it's really important you count those along. Let's have a go without the words. Come in after walk, running and running. Walk, running and running. G7, 2, F, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Really goes on forever, doesn't it, that G7, the second one. Now after that we go back to another verse, and it can be quite difficult to count along those G7s. So what I'm going to do on the last G7 before we go back to the verse, which starts with C, I'm going to give a little nod like this. And then you'll know the next chord is going to be the C, and we've got to the end of the chorus. Okay. So what I want us to try doing is playing a chorus all the way through, going into the start of the verse. You'll notice my nod, or you can count along, of course. Counting those walk runnings as we go. Don't worry about the words, let me take care of those. Just count the whole time. Walk, running and running. That rhythm's so important. Let's have a go. Come in after a walk, running and running. Walk, running and running. Sound of the ocean soothes my restless soul. The sound of the ocean rocks me all night long. Those hot blonde summer days, lying there in the sun on a white sandy beach of Hawaii. Absolutely brilliant. So you can see after the first chorus, we have another verse without the G7 this time. Okay, so you can see so far we've got an intro, a verse, a chorus, and a shorter verse. That one only lasts half as long as the first one. Next up, we have another chorus. Now this time, the G7 is held down for 8 measures. It really lasts a long time. Let's see if we can piece that together and practice it. Come in with me on a G7 at the start of the chorus, and you'll soon see what I mean. Come in after walk, running and running. Walk, running and running. Sound of the ocean soothes my restless soul. The sound of the ocean rocks me all night long. Last night in my dream. Okay, that last G7 seems to go on forever and ever, doesn't it? So I'll give you the nod on the last measure when we're about to go to the final verse. The final verse is another half verse, so we don't have the G7, but it repeats the last line twice. So when we get to this bit, F minor, we're going to hold this F minor for 4. Then we're going to have C. We're going to repeat that line again. F. F minor for 5 now. What? Just have to count along. And I'll give you the nods. Okay. Here we go. One more. And we're back to C to finish. We've got 4 of those, but it doesn't really matter when you finish. Because some of these chords are held for really unusual timings, in the description under the video I'm going to provide a music sheet of this with the words written out, with the chords above, with how many measures you play them for. Remember, if there are no numbers in brackets afterwards, just presume that's 1 measure and it should help you put it through. So before you have a go at this last run through, if you want to and you find it useful, you could go to the description and print out the link and play along. Come in after walk, running and running. Walk, running and running. 2, 3, 4, F, F minor, C, and G7. Here's our first verse. I saw you in my dream. We were walking hand in hand on a white sandy beach of Hawaii. G7. We were playing in the sun. We were having so much fun on a white sandy beach of Hawaii. Stay on C. Chorus. The sound of the ocean soothes my restless soul. The sound of the ocean rocks me all night long. Those hot long summer days, lying there in the sun on a white sandy beach of Hawaii. Another chorus. The sound of the ocean soothes my restless soul. The sound of the ocean rocks me all night long. Here we go. Last night in my dreams, I saw your face again. We were there in the sun on a white sandy beach of Hawaii. On a white sandy beach. Oh, 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 of Hawaii. Well done, everyone. Feel free to play through that multiple times. It can take a while to get used to those unusual measure lengths. It's quite unusual, isn't it, to play G at one point for 6 measures and then 8 measures. And then you've got F minor being played for 4 measures and then 5 measures. A bit odd again, but really good practice for your counting. Take it really slow and remember, it's okay to go wrong. I didn't sing it perfectly, okay? You don't have to play it perfectly. It's all about just having time to practice that rhythm. And even if you weren't up to that song quite yet, that's totally cool. It's something to aspire to. Just keep chucking away, practicing, down, down, up, up, down, down, up. Or rather, what I really want you to practice, walk, running, and running. Walk, running, and running. It's that rhythm that is more important than whether you're on a down or an up, or whether you're on beats 1 and 2 or 3 and 4. I really hope you found that useful and enlightening. Remember, everyone teaches differently, and this is just something that I've kind of learned to teach this way after many years of teaching, and finding that students can often get really uptight with strum patterns. So really, even when we try other rhythms, think of these things in terms of rhythms rather than patterns, and whether you're on an up or a down. It will really help you massively, I think.